There's an elite in that pack, and the elite is gone. Yeah, it just, that explosion just did that boss's entire health bar. Because there was enough grouped up enemies. That one almost one-shot that guy. One second. Yes. They have drops that come from them. They get the like 1 million bounty rewards. You can get void fragments. They're good XP farms. Oh, please get a big group. Oh, there it is. Full health bar. Yo, guys, what is up? Max in our first Descendant video, and today we're going over my updated guide to Yujin. Now, this has been a long time coming. I made a Yujin guide, I want to say 2 months ago, where at the time of recording the video, Yujin's healing was broken, where if you equipped a level 1 reactor, you actually healed more than if you equipped a level 100 reactor, and you healed so much with that level 1 that you really didn't need to do any math behind like healing, and so I just didn't bother with it. But they've now fixed that issue, and today in this video I wanted to break down a few different setups for Yujin. We've got a mobbing build that is able to one-tap bosses at the end of the 400% dungeons when you get enough ads around a boss with his proliferating allergy, which is still like one of the best mobbing abilities in the entire game. And then we've also got multiple healing setups for him, where we've got setups where he can go actually deathless, or when I say deathless, I mean that he goes into a 1 HP full shield build. The interesting thing about Yujin is that he recovers, or his like things give recovery, and whether you're recovering health or shield, the game doesn't really care. It's just going to recover whatever your resources. So we can actually like go into Deathstalker with a 1 HP Yujin build and just spam heals and give everyone shield and give ourselves shield, which works out really well. And then we've got like a more traditional kind of healthy healing Yujin build that's also going to pump out a lot of damage. One thing that I want to make apparent with this video is that Yujin is not sleeping when it comes to damage. Just him and his debuffs on bosses for multipliers to his damage, plus passionate sponsors and shot focuses, allow him to really dish out some damage in a group and keep the team alive. He's a pretty awesome character, and today we're going to go over everything you need to know. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let's get right into it. So one thing I want to make clear before we dive into all of his builds is that Yujin is not a ultimate Descendant, and I know people have a reluctancy or hesitancy when it comes to investing full Catalyst into non-ultimate Descendants. So I will have a budget setup that kind of gives you the bare essentials to play him, but I also kind of made my Catalyst setups so that you're not having to catalyze multiple slots multiple times. And we've kind of been able to fit both his like damage builds and his healing builds and his healthy builds and his shield builds kind of into like one kind of mod setup. So it's not perfectly min-maxed for every mod, which I'll talk about, replacements that if you want to like use something else, you can, but we've gotten some really solid builds here without having to over catalyze his different setups. So to start with his like budget mobbing build, with mobbing, you really want to use his proliferating allergy ability. This reads that you fire an allergy forward, that enemies are inflicted with explosive reaction. When an enemy inflicted with explosive reaction is defeated or the effect ends, it deals burst damage to enemies within the range. Now, one thing that is crazy about this is, to start, it is a 1000 base modifier value, which is incredibly high damage. This is what is one-shotting bosses, but it is also able to overlap. So if you have 3 enemies, 3 little baby trash enemies around an elite, and you shoot the trash enemies, the elite is going to get hit for 3000 modifier. It's going to get hit by all of the proliferating allergy. And that's part of the reason this mod is so strong, is if you're casting it into a pack, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to like basically cast it on whatever you're going to be able to kill the fastest. You don't care about if it's on elite or not. You don't really want to cast it on the elites because you're going to have to shoot them to be able to proc it, unless you want to wait the time for it to tick down. But you're going to be casting this on trash mobs, then shooting them with your gun and exploding. And if there's enough density, which there is in 400% dungeons, you will just one-tap elites, you'll one-tap bosses. It is pretty disgusting. And this is the like budget build, and we're just going to expand from it. So to start, Proliferating Allergy only has a 250% max expandable range. So we don't want any more than 150% increased range from our thing here, which is why we're going to be using skill effect range of maximize range, but we don't want this fully maxed. We just want it to like 62%, and then we're going to use a full skill expansion. This is 92, and that brings us to 155, which is going to allow us to get the exact amount of range that we need without overcapping it for Proliferating Allergy and losing too much modifier here. Modifier is not something we care about too much with something that has already a 1000 base. But just this is what we're going to be using for range. We're not going to be using amplification control, which is a cool mod, but it leaves us short of the skill effect range. It does give us a little bit more shield, but for this setup, don't really care about shield, and I just wanted to make sure that I was hitting in the biggest radius I could, so we're going to use a non-maximized range. Then we've got skill expansion. As with my other builds that I posted, we're going to be using 2 different multipliers to get the most out of Proliferating Allergy. So we're going to use non-attribute amplification for the non-attribute skill power, and then we're going to use power increase for the skill power. This is like 17% more damage than if we were using like non-attribute specialist or focus on non-attribute. We're already at a 3.2 second cooldown, so cooldown is fine there. Speaking of cooldown, we're going to run MP conversion and increased HP so that we can get cooldown and health. For our last mods, we're going to be using HP conversion and nimble fingers. This is going to give us the cooldown that we need to spam our second ability and also use our fourth ability on a low cooldown. It's 38 seconds here, which isn't great. So you're going to only cast this when you get really low and need it. And then we've got increased HP for some more survivability. This is the base of his build. And one thing to point out is with Yujin, when you're playing solo, the only 2 abilities that actually work are Proliferating Allergy and his fourth ability. The third ability and the second ability only actually work if there's a target or someone else to use them on. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to be playing solo, you don't need to waste any mana spamming his 1 and 3. So now that we've got our base mods, we can expand on it for like the higher budget version. And the first thing that we're going to be using is MP Collector. MP Collector, this kind of mobbing setups for 400% dungeons and just general play. We really want mana. Is if we lose our Proliferating Allergy, you know, that's kind of our only ability that we're clicking, and all of our ad clear, our 4 just heals. So MP Collector, probably not overly necessary for 400% dungeons, but this is just a slot that, you know, Yujin comes with. I didn't catalyze that on. And so MP Collector, I really enjoy on him. I never want to have any mana issues on him. It's super important because especially for our healing, if we can't heal, then we are dead. And then we've got 2 other slots to go with. And once again, these are slots that I kind of wanted to fit into both the healing and the mobbing build. So we are going to be using HP amplification as his second mod. This is going to give us more max HP, less shield. We don't really care about shield. This is going to get us to 23,000 HP on Yujin, which is very comfy. And then our last mod, we catalyzed an X slot on. We needed an X slot for the healing builds, where we're going to be using either medical support or second wind for the HP heal modifier, which modifies our outgoing heal, which is really, really nice. And I was originally going to put one of these on, but I wanted to show you something kind of interesting that we actually just tested live, and I didn't realize, but it's very neat. So we're actually not going to be using this mod. I just want to show you something. So if we're playing Yujin solo, right? Let's say I'm at 4,000 HP. This would definitely be a time where I'd be like, oh, I'm about to die. Let me hit my fourth ability. So now when I hit my fourth ability, I only heal half of my HP, which is not great. Right? You know, we're going to build up. There's no point in building 23,000 health if we can't heal it. And so what we're going to be using as that last mod is actually focus on fusion. This mod is going to be interesting because our fourth ability is a fusion ability. We already have over 1000 modifier for proliferating allergy. Any more damage increases to this are going to be very minimal. You know, it's going to be going from 1019 to like 1080. Really not worth running. But if we run focus on fusion, we get the 6% cooldown. So we go from like 3.5 to 2.6 on proliferating allergy. We're going from like 37, 38 on our fourth ability down to like 31. But the big thing is now look at our heal. So we're going to break our HP real quick by unequipping HP mods and now equipping HP mods. So we get those same mods equipped. You just saw me down at 4,000, heal to 13,000. Now, with focus on fusion, we click the button. All of a sudden, now we can full heal ourselves from 0 HP to full health. And so that is what we're going to be using for the last mod is focus on fusion. It's going to augment our healing abilities, which is very nice, once again, because the fourth ability is the only ability that can heal you in solo. And that is the finished mobbing build. Next, we get to talk about Yujin's healing builds. And we've got a Deathless heal build. I call it the Deathless because there was an artifact in Borderlands 3 that you would reduce your health to like 1 and get a bunch of shield. So if anyone ever hears me call something Deathless, that's probably what I'm referring to. But for Yujin, in my opinion, his best healing mod is Duty and Sacrifice. The reason for this is without Duty and Sacrifice, if we want to hit our fourth ability and heal our team, we have to pull out this like big circle and then awkwardly chase after our teammates to try to get them in the circle, and then we can click and then we can heal them. There is some really nice positives to that. The main one being that this grants purification. Now, purification removes Deathstalker's debuff from you and your teammates, which, you know, is really nice. However, the big issue with this is it turns it to a 31-second cooldown. And in testing, having full heal spams on like 9 seconds felt better than being able to purify once every 30 seconds. And so for the healing builds, we are going to be rocking Duty and Sacrifice on both of them. Now, we're going to talk about the like shield build first. And that is going to be using overwhelming shields with increased HP, increased shield, and stim accelerant to get a bunch of healing. Now, the one thing that's really interesting about this is when we do put on Duty and Sacrifice, not only are we going to be able to heal our teammates, we do lose the purification and we get it on a much lower cooldown, but it then becomes an infinite range skill. So we don't need to worry about if our teammates are close. If you see someone that's low health, you can click this button and you'll heal them no matter where they are on the map, no matter where they are in the boss fight. So that is a really good quality of life when you're playing as a support. So for the mods, to get survivability for like shields, once again, overwhelming shield, passionate overwhelming shields, increased HP, increased shield, and stim accelerant. Now, there is room for more shield here if you wanted to build it. We could still fit in, technically, a HP conversion. This gives us more max shield at the cost of max HP. If I slotted that in real quick, we go all the way up to 26,000 shield, which is very nice. But when you have a massive shield or a full shield proc heal on a 9-second cooldown, it didn't feel overly necessary to me to build that much shield, especially when we're really tight on mods. And so we're not going to be getting up to that much shield. We still like full healed our shields with a single click. But for the other mods, we're going to be rocking focus on non-attribute and focus on fusion. This is going to give us the power and the modifier to make our heals very powerful. We've got nimble fingers and MP conversion for the full cooldown. And then we are going to be rocking passionate sponsor and HP heal. I think it's second wind that goes here. It is safe recovery. The reason we're using Safe Recovery is because it costs less. This is a 17% HP heal versus Second Wind is 21%. I found this negative skill power actually made this a worse heal, and we're not fitting medical support here, mainly because we're just saving a catalyst. We don't need to catalyze this M slot so that we can use Safe Recovery, which still gives us that HP heal modifier, but it's just a little bit cheaper than using medical support. And this is the Deathless build. The one thing that's really nice about this setup is, one, obviously, we have the spam on the 4th ability, but you're going to want to be clicking your 2 ability on the boss fairly often. It's going to be on a 5.9 second cooldown. You get 2 stacks of it. The big thing here is that all of your teammates are going to be healing themselves passively while shooting the Colossus. With this setup, it's going to be healing you for about 250 shield per trigger pull of your gun, which is awesome. And it also makes the boss take 10% more damage. This is just a great debuff to put on the boss and have it up all times. You and your teammates will just deal 10% multiplicative more damage, which is awesome. The other thing that you want to use when you're playing Yujin and you're healing is your 1. If you can identify someone who's going down more often, maybe someone joins in that might struggle more in like Gluttony, Deathstalkers, such as like a Glay, you can put this on them, and you and them will both have improved firearm attack damage. You get 35% from this firearm attack increase, and we are going to be able to also proc Passionate Sponsor just from healing our teammates. So we're getting over 100% firearm attack on Yujin, which is just disgusting. And so while this build does a lot of healing, it also does a lot of damage by multiplying you and all your teammates' damage and giving you 100% firearm attack just from you playing the video game, which is awesome. Our next setup is the healthy heals. This is like giga healing. There is an option here to lose out on a little bit of healing and take off a mod and put on shot focus if you want a little bit more gun damage on the healthy build, which we absolutely can do. One thing that I do want to make clear, and it was a misconception that I was hearing a lot off of hey, don't you need to increase Yujin's health to make you heal more? Your healing on Yujin is based off of your target's HP, not your own. And when we were healing a Glay, to do all this testing, we basically just went into Kingston and had a Glay lower their health, and then I would heal them. With this setup, we were proccing heals for 3.1k ticks. We were healing them over 30,000 a click of HP on our 4th ability, and just the health dot was at 3.1 thousand healing, which is disgusting because we're getting 7 seconds of 3.1k healing, and we're on a 9.9 second cooldown. So there's only 2 seconds in a fight where you're not regenning an F ton of HP, and that is kind of ridiculous with this setup. We're going to be using non-attribute amplification. This alone, when we were testing it, was bringing my dot ticks from under 1,000 HP a tick to over 2,000 HP a tick by adding extra power. Note that we're not going to be using power increase, even though this would increase our healing. It's just less cooldown, and we really, really want as much cooldown as possible for this build. We're going to kind of be rocking basically the same stuff. The other things that we get that we didn't have on the Deathless build is we're going to be rocking skill extension. This gives us 36% more heal duration on our teammates, which is great because with this, it procs every 1 second with skill extension plus a 2-piece annihilation set bonus. We're getting 2 extra ticks of our heal. So, the uptime on our heals are even better. Medical support gives us more HP heal. There is a note here that it looks like you can only heal like a max recovery of a target HP times 82.9 or max recovery times 11. The wording on this is weird, but one thing that we found is that if you added just a bunch of skill power and modifier and all those things, you could kind of cap out his heals. But if you added HP heal modifier, like this thing, HP heal increase, you could actually push past those kind of like soft caps on healing. So we're getting just a ton of HP healing on this build is kind of what I wanted to do. You're going to heal your teammates a bunch with Solidarity Healing, a Restrict Your Serum, and stimulant spray. The big thing is if you wanted to get even more damage, we're already at over 100 firearm attack just with Passionate Sponsor and as one. If you did want to sub out a mod with shot focus, I would either probably go for the skill extension or the medical support. You could technically go for the non-attribute amplification, but this turned out to be pretty massive heal proc increase for us. But if you wanted to do more damage with Yujin, you could subs out one of these or the non-attribute amplification for some extra DPS. But once again, we're already at over 100% firearm attack just by playing this build. For our weapons, reactors, and components, for mobbing, you can kind of use whatever you want. I like using high damage single shot weapons like Descendant, so you can just shoot once into a crowd and everything explodes, or something like the Thunder Cage. The Thunder Cage is nice because it kind of guarantees the proliferate. So like, for example, if I shoot this enemy and then I kill them and it spreads, notice how it spreads to these enemies, but they didn't die when that enemy died. Like, they'll die when it expires. But the Thunder Cage, when an enemy dies, it does an explosion. And so a lot of times the allergy will proliferate. And then the explosion, if it wasn't enough damage to kill them, will cause the, whatever it spreads, it will proc and make sure that they're dead. So it just kind of guarantees that you're going to be like deleting packs when you shoot into them. So that's why the Thunder Cage is pretty nice, but it's not overly necessary. Other cool weapons, the Divine Punishment is technically great for Yujin. Unfortunately, the Divine Punishment is kind of butt cheeks when it comes to damage. However, one thing that is nice about the Divine Punishment is if you're holding it, you're going to be able to proc praise for yourself. These other things are nice. Defense is nice. Firearm attack is nice. But the real awesome thing is that he can self-proc cooldown for himself just by recovering an ally's HP or their shield, which is nice. But once again, I just not prioritizing this weapon because it is not great damage. And then another thing that's kind of fun to use, which I was using in Deathstalker, is the Wave of Light. Yujin doesn't have a ton of synergy with some weapons, but the Wave of Light, if we're shooting it, applies another 10% damage increase for ourselves and our teammates. So you can kind of sit back from range and just shoot this. It does solid damage, and you're going to be buffing your teammates' damage. If you wanted to go for another kind of buff weapon, the Descendant in boss fights as Yujin is great because it can also do a defense strip. This is also a really, really nice weapon to use with Yujin because, while your damage is great, you can also help your teammates deal a bunch of damage. And then, obviously, Yujin with the Enduring Legacy is your highest DPS option. Enduring Legacy is just crazy. And Yujin uses it really well because he can buff up its damage. For the reactor, for mobbing, I had a terrible one, but you're going to want to look for a weapon of your choice mounting with non-attribute and singular. Cooldown is great. I would try to look for non-attribute boost or singular boost with cooldown would kind of be my like god tier role for a Yujin reactor. For actually like healing, obviously there's a few things that do matter. Your weapon mounting really doesn't matter. You just kind of want a weapon that is going to give you a good time. So an Enduring Legacy mounting, an Descendant mounting, a Wave of Light mounting is all going to be really good. And ideally what you're looking for is something like this, where you roll HP heal modifier and cooldown. This HP heal modifier does impact your outgoing HP healing, and then cooldown allows you to use your fourth ability more often. So this is a great reactor for him. For the external components, I don't swap between the health build, the shield build, or whatever. These are probably just going to be the components that I'm rocking on most builds from now on because they're really nice. I've got the Invader, which max rolls HP implicit and max rolls HP as a substat, which is great. I've got two-piece annihilation to extend his heals with a MP recovery in combat max MP, which allows me to spam my abilities. Our annihilation memory with max HP, which max rolls the implicit with defense and MP recovery modifier, which gives us some more tankiness and also more mana sustain. And then the Invader processor with max HP, max shield, and shield recovery modifier. We're getting more shield for the Deathless build, and we're getting more duration and HP. That's what allows us to sit at a very, very healthy 23,000 for general play on Yujin, which makes him very, very hard to kill, which is obviously important because it's a little embarrassing if you go down as the healer. We don't want to be doing that. And so that is the build. Guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. I will catch y'all in the next one. Take care. Peace.